everyone. Welcome back to a new podcast episode. Today we're joined by Bailey Solzin, who is our social media lead, and Lee Love Levy, who is the face behind millions of views. Today we're talking about all things social media, which is personally one of my favorite topics to discuss. And we're talking about the do's and don'ts. We're talking about best practices, how to go viral, all of that good stuff. So you'll be learning a lot in this podcast episode. So first, let's talk about what a successful social media presence looks like for a business.
I think that just within businesses, of course, there's a lot of things that you want to consider. You want to consider the voice, the tone, the branding. All those things are really important. But I think with social media, it's kind of the one avenue that we have that allows us to be a little bit more personable, whether or when it comes to clients or just customers in general. It's a nice avenue that we're able to connect with them on, which I feel like is why I like social, especially organic social media, so much.
Yeah, and to jump on that, I would say just understanding your audience, because what works for one brand, you cannot copy and paste if that's not your same target audience. So just understanding who you're selling to and what they would value.
Yeah, I think the key point there is with brand building. Organic social media, you're building a community, you're building awareness, you're building, and they also touched on knowing your audience, and then also what the business's goals are. Is that to get people to the website? Is that to get them to buy a product? So once you're able to identify that certain goal, then you're able to alter your content based off of those. Okay, so with many sounds trending, videos trending, topics trending, when do you hop on a trend?
I would say when you can actually execute it in the best way that you can. So if you don't have the thing that you need right in that moment, don't scramble to do it the fastest way. Do it the best way, no matter how much time it takes, because something can still be popular even if you missed it by 2 weeks or something, but you still executed it well and with the best, when you really thought about how your brand would react to that trend or audio or whatever you're planning on jumping on. If I can tell that you just picked up your phone and did the first thing you thought of, it might not do as well as actually thinking it through.
Yeah, so I think the quality of what you are putting in the caption too of the trend is really valuable as well. And I think because when trends do happen, it gets very oversaturated with a lot of people posting about it. So I think where you could really hit the head on the nail is putting a caption that's relatable to your audience. So something that someone would see and be like, oh my gosh, this is so me, or someone that reminds you of, or a caption that reminds you of something that's your friend, so then they could reshare it. So when you're resharing, you're hitting different audiences as well. So something that I think would be really good for trends is the quality, like you discussed, Lee Love.
And I think that also kind of just going back to the fact that trends ground brands as well as businesses. They do what other, promotional type content can't do. And I think that that's why people like them. People appreciate the fact that a business can make something funny, and I think that that's really shown. I mean, it started showing, I feel like it was a big thing on Twitter, and now it's moving over to X, or TikTok. Twitter or X, and now it's moving over to TikTok, where it's fun to see a brand hop on a trend that's going viral, obviously, but in a way that's making it more original to them.
Yeah.
Because I think at the end of the day, we want to be purposeful. It's kind of what Lee Love said. If you see something and you put it together within 2 seconds and put it out just because you want to put it out, it's not really intentional. Though it can sometimes do well, that is true. But is it putting your brand still in the light that you want it to be in? And I think that kind of going back to the fact that we want to be consistent with our content always. I've said this a million times. The hard thing about social media is it feels like it's kind of a casual thing when it's not, especially for businesses at this point in our, in time. We want to be very purposeful with the content. We want it to be high quality, but also, naturally platforms are putting out your business the more you're posting. So the quantity is still important. And that's why social media is such a heavy lift, and they're not considering that. You need to be consistent, and you need to make sure it's still good quality.
Yeah, and just jumping off of that, I wanted to say that Yeah, while quick, easy videos, especially jumping on a trend and you just do it in the moment, works and can make you go viral. We've had that happen. It doesn't necessarily get you the audience that you were looking for if you weren't intentional about it, because of virality, especially for a brand, is not always the main goal if you are trying to build a community and build people who buy into your brand.
Yeah, and I think another point too is engagement. When like with trends, when certain businesses are commenting on people's accounts and stuff, they really, really like that because it's like they're in the eyes of, well, it's the social media manager, but it'll be in the eyes of a business that maybe is relevant to what they're trying to do. So I think with engagement, you're able to think of something clever to comment on someone's post with the trend. But yeah, engagement is a really, really big thing that we value as well.
I think you actually make a good point with that, Miranda, and I wanted to point that out, is that there are other ways to still hop on trends without actually even doing the video or doing the post, like, being active on the people who are doing it, like commenting, engaging with them. Those are ways that you're still putting your brand out there. You're still able to, relate with your audience, but also maybe you didn't have the time or you weren't able to make the quality video that you wanted. So this is just a better way to really connect with your audience.
Yeah, I mean, there's even trends in comments. Like there's ongoing jokes in the comment sections that you need to hop on. There's even memes now that you can upload photos to TikTok in the comments. Like being on top of what the vernacular of what people are using and the specific memes that are popular at the moment can really help you in an easy lift.
So another thing that I wanted to discuss was platforms, because the platforms are used for different reasons for different businesses. We work with businesses B2B, B2C, healthcare, all different kinds of businesses across the board. So which platform is best based on your industry or target audience? What do you say? Because there's LinkedIn, there's X, there's TikTok, Instagram, Meta, Facebook.
Well, I mean, I think that honestly, the platforms itself, definitely kind of goes to the fact that, you still have a target audience at the end of the day. Brand awareness can be your goal for maybe, the more versatile platforms like Instagram. But if maybe you have a younger audience and you want to connect more on TikTok or things like that, you can still do that. And I think that honestly, you should be on as many platforms as you feel your audience will go to. But it's more of understanding the language in a way of the platform. And we've honestly struggled with this before as well. We've seen it firsthand where it's we're so worried about our quantity that we were trying so hard to keep up with posting every day, because that's the recommendation. And honestly, that's what will help your videos if you're posting more on TikTok and Instagram. The more you post, the more it will put out, or the platform will put out your stuff. However, if you're not understanding the language, then it's not really going to it's basically like not posting at all. It's not going to help you. And so just and again, it goes back to what I said about the heavy lift that social media is, that people aren't understanding. It is fun, but it is something that's very, specific, and it's its own language, really. So.
Yeah, jumping off of that, I would say that knowing who you're selling to, your audience, where they live. Obviously, if your target audience is going to be people who are a little bit older, who are looking for more serious content, you might want to focus on Facebook, LinkedIn, maybe even X, I don't know. And then Instagram is always a good one to throw in there. But if you only have to choose a few, you need to really think about where the person you want to reach is going to be on, most likely.
Yeah, I would say X is good for more in the tech industry. Yeah. And then Facebook and LinkedIn, even Instagram, is more for B2B. And which Instagram, like you said, Leila, is a good one to just put in, because Instagram's a good one to have for a lot of industries.
It's very
and then TikTok is more relatability, and so CPG brands. TikTok
definitely, B2C with TikTok Shop, all of that.
Yeah.
That's where Instagram and TikTok will really be your best friend.
Yeah, and there's definitely different industries that thrive on each one. I think that's a really good point that you pointed out, Miranda, with the fact that the tech, I haven't worked with a lot of our tech clients, so I haven't really been on X the way that you have, because you've worked with our more tech related clients and you've seen how it's helped. And it'd be kind of fun to hear your experience with that that specific industry and how that specific platform was able to help.
Well, I think like it does the same thing with TikTok. So it's a lot of like satire, it's a lot of like relatability, memes even. But I think also where I found X really valuable as someone that works in social media is all the information that's on the platform. So I was able to learn a lot about like the tech industry. I was able, of course I had like newsletters, articles that I was also reading, but it was really informative for what's going on in tech. And but it's kind of like the same thing as TikTok where, it's memes, it's people, building a community in that. But I think the biggest question that most people have is what can create a viral video? And I think like as we've had multiple videos gone viral, I'd be curious to hear what you guys think is the way to go viral today.
I'd love to hear you answer that.
Yeah, I will say we've had a couple videos go viral, most of them memes, but some of them that were, I'll start with the memes and then I'll jump into the ones that were our faces in it. Because I actually think having your face in it is more valuable to go viral than a meme, even though our memes outperformed almost at every step videos that had our faces in it. But our memes were really hit or miss. Now, there were ones that I created that I was like, this is going to do well. And it did, I don't ever think that something is going to go viral when it does, but there were ones when Wicked came out, like we hopped on that did really well. When SNL had the Domingo sketch, we hopped on that the next morning. That one performed like crazy
well.
So I knew that those were going to do well because that was the conversation people were having, and I thought they were funny. But sometimes I make something and it wasn't necessarily the funniest thing to me that I ever thought of. I'm not always my target audience. So just because I didn't think it was my best work or the thing that I related to the most doesn't mean that it wasn't going to do well. And actually, one of our videos that performed the best on Instagram is a video that I made in maybe 10 seconds, didn't think it was my best work, and that is our most viewed video on Instagram.
Which one is it?
The Jason Momoa
I
one.
knew you were going to say Jason Momoa.
He's great. No one was talking about him in the moment. He wasn't in like a movie. That was the one that was the most surprising because it's still our best video, like our most viewed, and there was no rhyme or reason I can really pinpoint other than people just related to it. And I think it hit the right audience at the right time, and you can't really plan for that. You can put things into practice that will help you hit the right audience at the right time by posting consistently, posting quality content. But at the end of the day, some things are really out of your control. And for example, with some of our videos that have gone viral, a lot of them that have our faces in it often go viral because we didn't mean to, but people got mad at us. I mean, people were disagreeing with us, or we're having even conversations in the comments. Some of it didn't even really have to do with us. It just, someone started a conversation in the comments and that pushed the video out. So I know that everyone kind of talks about rage baiting and stuff, and obviously I don't recommend rage baiting as a business, but starting conversation knowing that you're stepping into a controversial space isn't always the worst thing if it makes sense for your brand to start that conversation.
Yeah. I think also I want to point out that We Love comes from a place of experience. What she said about our Jason Momoa had 8 million views. And I that's amazing. And, we're just an agency in California. I feel like that's kind of shows the reach that we can have. And though that was awesome and we got a lot of awareness because of it, it was only really just to pull people in. And so our, informative content and stuff, we want to be able to still make that connection between we're using this to show that we understand pop culture and what's relevant and in today, because as an agency that has social media as a service, we want that obviously is relevant to us. It's important for us to know those things for our clients so that our clients can do well. But also going back to what you said about the faces, and I've also said this over and over again to our team that faces just perform really well, and people want to see faces, especially in today's day and age. They want to make sure there are real people behind businesses. But yeah, you're not always gonna have the best traction, and not necessarily that you are rage baiting, because again, we don't want to.
No, and we don't recommend
not
it
at
to
all.
Professionally.
But it does start conversation. And I think kind of what Leela was referring to, with our video or a couple of our videos that have gotten some hate comments, it's been about things, I think also, and not to discredit the people who are leaving these comments, I think a lot of the hate comments kind of come from the fact that they didn't quite understand the video. And that's something that we were able to take and be like, you know what, like we could do better at explaining this. And we were talking about like, you know, our services, or we were trying to make like a funny trend or a sound to something that we were doing at Flying V Group. So that's just like a learning curve, of course, but it is good because it's helping us realize the questions that our potential clients or potential customers are asking.
Yeah, and I think like I could also talk from like the healthcare side. We've been talking about it a lot in this podcast, but knowing your audience and speaking to your audience. Mm-hmm. Like one of our clients that's in the healthcare industry saw a video and they sent it over to us, and we thought it would be a good idea for them to do a reaction video to it and to say what's going on and what's just clickbait and what's happening online. So he did that, and he did a reaction video, and it went viral. So it's really speaking to your audience, and a lot of people want to learn from social media, and whether that's like learning from someone about wellness, about healthcare, about politics, you know, whatever is going on in the world, people just want to like learn. And with our attention spans getting super short as we have social media, people are looking for that in short form of content. So with the doctor reacting to a video of false information that's showing that he is a leader in his industry. And this was something to show his audience that he's credible for, and also to get people to his page and look at what else he has to say. So yeah, I would emphasize just speaking to your audience is something that I can't highlight enough.
Yeah, starting conversations and answering other people who maybe even didn't mean to start a conversation. I mean, that's essentially what happened with your client. Like he saw it himself. He was like, this is not true. And the person who is saying this doesn't have any background or expertise in this. And so knowing what your audience might be getting, I don't know, duped by, or what information and false information is out there and what you can bring to, and showing your credentials is really helpful to like cement yourself online.
Well, I think also, and like not to take away from what you said, but like a little bit of background for that specific client. So it wasn't that he necessarily saw it himself. He actually had a couple of his patients come and say, I saw this video, or I think it was a video and also a tweet or something like that, or a post on X. And so they mentioned that, like, and so I want to make sure that this isn't true, or like, can you weigh in on this? And he was like, yeah, and obviously he did with the clients or the patients, but then he came to us and was like, hey, I want to know what this is. Like, can you guys look into it? And we found the video. We found it in a video format on TikTok. And then we're like, yeah, here it is. Can you make a response video? It was like a really quick turnaround, and it was awesome because it was super, geared toward the people that he wants, seeing his stuff. He wants the people who are asking these questions to come to him for it. And so I think that was what was really cool, because it shows, even his audience they found it on social media first. Like, I don't think they meant to find, that kind of information, but no matter what, their algorithm really was putting that out to them. And that like goes to show, even in this healthcare industry, social media is still very relevant. Even TikTok itself was relevant. So I think that was really a really cool experience for us to be able to be like, see how awesome TikTok is, and how we can really be informative. It's not just like, dancing videos anymore. It's so much more.
Yeah, and I think even what we tell our clients too is like informative content has so much impact because you're showing your viewers, credibility and being able to teach them in some kind of way that's like fun on social media. But another thing too is to not take yourself as seriously online. Like definitely, keep professionalism, of course, but also give yourself, show a little bit of your personality, your character, and whether that being with certain trending sounds. There's different types of content and variety that is good to have. So, it's humorous content, informative content, all different types of content is hitting a different audience, hitting the same type of audience, but in a different way.
And I think that also, to your point, Miranda, that I do think there's a lot of businesses out there, or like CEOs that are like, well, my business is this, and it's a very formal business of some way, so they don't really feel like they can have that opportunity. But more than ever before, we've seen, serious workers, or I think kind of going back to the healthcare thing, there's been a lot of other types of healthcare workers that are on TikTok making these, kind of silly videos. And it's nice because it doesn't discredit what they do. Obviously, they're still amazing at what they do. I've seen like lawyers doing it as well. Like, I just think it's one of those things where it's like, you'd be surprised that how often you can utilize social media, even if you don't think that your business is meant for it. You know, like you'd be surprised how many people still are going to social media to find answers even. And they could be people that you want, that is your target audience.
Yeah, it's really important for pretty much all industries not to take yourself too seriously. I think there's a very select few that shouldn't be, maybe. Almost everything, unless there's like legal repercussions, you should be utilizing, and you can utilize social media to benefit yourself and your brand.
So kind of just going back to the fact that there are a lot of businesses that can benefit from social media and being active on social media and trends, and you'd be surprised. I think that it's also important to understand that there are, you know, do's and don'ts to social media. So it'd be really interesting, especially to get both of your opinions on what are the social media do's and don'ts. What have you seen from your own experiences?
Yeah, so let's talk about the do's first. I would say that, like we had discussed previously, being relatable and actually like giving yourself a human touch, because I think like there's a lot of people that speak kind of robotically in social media, and people want to feel like you're talking to them and you're speaking to them, whether that's like with different problems that they're going through, you know, a cure, or even just, you know, sharing information that is going on in the world. But I think the relatability part of it is something that I really want to emphasize on. And another thing is hopping on trends, of course, using trending sounds. That's what's going to get you to reach a lot of people. And then also using relevant hashtags too is something that can expand your reach.
Yeah, and I would say some don'ts are to jump on just any trend. If you can't really make it relevant to yourself, there's no need to force it. Some things just aren't for that industry or for that brand. I would also say don't take yourself too seriously online, in the sense that if a disclaimer is necessary for FTC guidelines, sure, but not everything needs to have a long disclaimer if it's not necessary. I know sometimes people get really nervous about certain businesses, so obviously run it by your lawyers and everything, but just, yeah, it's not legal advice. But don't treat your social media like a blog or like a website. Make like relatable content as well, where you don't feel like you're gonna get in trouble for it. Like, you can just post fun things.
I was gonna say, just kind of going back to the fact that I also think it is important. Blog content, you know, is still content writing, and that is amazing. But that's also for, you know, your specific industry. That's for your business specifically. And kind of to Lilev's point, this is an opportunity to, you know, showcase your individuality, the fact that like real people are behind this business or this company, this person. And I think that that's really, I don't know, like that's a really unique opportunity that you don't always get. Whereas like everything else that you do is going to be super informative, and it's going to be something that's really bringing people to you, and I think that's awesome. But this is just like a way to, you know, reach the people that didn't even realize that they wanted to find your business. This is to reach to go even further, I guess you could say. Like, yes, you have your target audience, and that's awesome, but this is just a way to get the people that weren't necessarily looking for it, but they actually do want it. They want to see your product, and they were like, wait, I didn't even, like, wow, that's awesome. I think that that's so cool. Like, I constantly am like shopping online, and then I'll see something that I just, you know, buy that I was not searching for in any way. And I think that this, you know, that's because of social media. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know, but it does help businesses. So at the end of the day, like, it's a good thing for us in the professional world.
Yeah, and another do I would say is being consistent. And also video content as well. Video content really does well on social media. It pushes you to a wider audience, and also being consistent with it. The more consistent you're with posting, the more accounts you're going to be able to reach.
I did want to point out, Miranda, because you made a good point about like video content and how important that is, especially now. That's also, it seems, from what we've seen, that's where most platforms are headed. Like LinkedIn has, you know, like real short form content now. YouTube Shorts, like it's not just Instagram Reels. Like we knew that TikTok always had like the, you know, the videos and things like that. But now pretty much every single platform, if I'm not mistaken, like has that option. They are allowing you to post those video formats, and that's because that's what's working. That's what a lot of people are wanting to see. Like they like that short form content, and it's what draws them in. And I think that's a big thing that we want to leverage, especially within businesses and brands.
Yeah, definitely. What are some social media campaigns that you guys have seen and you're like, wow, this is really, really good?
I would say, I know this is like a bit ago, but they've continued the momentum, was Gap and Cat's Eye. That really was a social media moment, and the I believe the creative behind it they used for their holiday campaign. And so knowing, I mean, this really took off and it worked, and it worked because it was like fun, and Gap didn't take themselves seriously, and they tried something new, and they took something that has been popular on a specific side of the internet and really took over. I mean, pretty much if you were anywhere on social media, you saw this dance, you heard the song, like it was everywhere for a while. And then they went and they did a different idea completely, but they kept that same creative behind it, and their campaign blew up again. It wasn't quite as viral the first time around, but it was a very good campaign. And I would say, like, I've really been noticing that they're trying a lot of new things that fashion is like one of the biggest, most highest concentration and saturated industries, but I'm remembering their campaigns.
I think that, I'm a very big like movie and TV show person, and so I kind of love it when like there's obviously something that's gaining a lot of traction online, and like maybe a TV show has blown up honestly because of social media, again kind of going back to that, but and I like it when brands kind of hop on that. I think it's fun. I think that there's like a lot of really like fun examples out there of, for example, like Taylor Swift's album with The Life of the Showgirl. Like a lot of brands were hopping on like posts about that, and I thought that was really a clever little, like they didn't, it's not like a huge ad campaign where they brought in Taylor Swift. It was just something so small, and I think that's fun. And the big ones are awesome too. Like I know that there's a lot of relevant ones now that have been put out with like Wicked and like new TV shows coming out, and I think that's awesome.
Lionsgate as well has been jumping on, like, just how people are editing and like cutting things, so they've started making their own edits,
just like edits,
TikTok style.
And I think that that's just fun. I like the big stuff. I think that the big stuff is fun, but that's always, they've always done that. This is just like a unique way of being relevant, going back to the fact that it's not necessarily trends because it's original content, but it's kind of taking what they've seen other people do, and then, making it their own.
Yeah. I will say that the two brands that I think does the best with campaigns and like product launches is Skims and Dairy Boy. Dairy Boy has been doing amazing with the campaigns, even like with the holiday campaigns, and then just even across the months, like their campaigns are amazing. And then Skims, of course. I think what I personally love about their campaigns is the aesthetics that go into it and the creative direction. I know the creative director of Skims is Nadia Lee Cohen, I think is her name. And she's just so creative. And, I think a lot of people, especially on Instagram and with fashion, they're looking for aesthetics. They're looking for a vibe, something to feel that's going to be part of the community. They're even with Rhode, minimalistic. I think with a lot of these campaigns, they're talking to their audiences, but I will say that Skims and Dairy Boy, in my personal opinion, have done amazing things with their campaigns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to agree.
Yeah. And I also think that, like, from what I've seen, like, there's a lot of making it also not just like a branding campaign. It's like there's like some sentimentality to it as well. I like it when something kind of feels real, and we see that like with collabs. We highlight that on our social medias of like other people and really cool collabs that we've seen in the past. But like, just if there's something that like you could tell it was very intentional, that they pulled this person specifically for, or they pulled this popular thing specifically because they knew that it could be related. I like that. I think that that's kind of shows that, it doesn't always have to just be like do this, buy this, have this. Like, it's just also like, well, here's, going back to our roots, why we even created this business in the first place. Like, I think that that's beautiful.
And I think like a lot of, now with influencers and everything, like you were talking about collaborating, like, an influencer that's super in the wellness industry, and then they collaborate with a CPG brand that's also in the wellness industry. Like they're also bringing their traction, the influencers' traction and audience to the new brand. So there's also a lot of value there as well. And, you know, as a viewer, you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, like one of my favorite content creators or one of my favorite celebrities is part of this brand now. And then it makes you want to check out their products, or, you know, it's bringing them to the social media account or website or whatever, you know, the company's goals is.
Absolutely. Choosing people with actual influence who really believe in your brand is super important.
And also with like the relatability part too, of, you know, when someone, you know, going back to like, let's say the wellness industry, someone that's very making a lot of content around the wellness industry, and then they are working with a brand that's also in the wellness industry, it just seems so much more authentic than someone that's not part of it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to say with like these big campaigns, and the reason that they are so memorable is because you could tell that it was intentional, that they put a lot of research and time and energy into making sure that they are, you know, staying true to their brand and also being able to reach the people that they want to reach. And I think that's something also, like, not to, you know, promote us only, but just kind of going back to like within our social media team, I feel like that's something that we also are trying to strive for, like, because we've seen it and we've done our research. Like when we get a new client, we're very intentional with like the research of that type of industry, because we have so many different services within Flying V Group, but also we have all sorts of different clients, and we cover so many different types of industry, like industries I never thought I'd be working with, but like it's been such an awesome learning curve. However, like it's given me the opportunity to do that kind of research, so in the future, like I can, you know, further help this brand. And I'm sure you guys have seen it as well. I'm just working with like different types of industries, how you've been able to put in that effort and that work to see what is working, you know. And it is important, I think, to like have a lot of original content, but at the same time, there's things that are working and that you can utilize. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's how you're able to really go the extra mile, is that you're like, hey, this is a perfect opportunity for us to hop on this trend, or I've done this research in this, and these similar companies have done this, but it's gone like super viral, or like there's, I don't know, it's just like it's an opportunity for you to kind of put your voice out there. But it goes back to the research, and I think that that's honestly, and I'll say this a million times over, but like the research is the most important part of what we do. So.
Yeah. And I also think like with certain like different types of content is thinking out of the box. So thinking like what hasn't been done. Like I feel like personally, like I feel like my brain is never off. Like I'll be trying to go to sleep at night and I will think about a bunch of different content ideas and I have to write them all down, because when your brain is thinking about that, it just keeps going and going. But yeah, like thinking about things that haven't been done too, like maybe being even a leader in your in virality, I guess. So thank you guys so much for hopping on today. I hope you all learned so much about social media. It's all of our favorite things to do. And yeah, if you want to learn more about our team, visit our website or comment down below.